Hey everybody, welcome to another review from Izzy Sam Escape on YouTube. It's 11:17 p.m. I just finished watching Elvis, and I want to apologize for the lengthy delay as far as catching this film and reviewing is concerned. Today was the first day off I've had in quite some time, so I figured I would go ahead and watch it before I catch Thor: Love and Thunder this Thursday. Before I get into the whole details of this review, I want to go ahead and state from the very beginning that me particularly, I was never a huge fan of Elvis, save for a few songs here and there. When it came to his personal life and the overall conglomeration that he brought forth when it came to his personality and the historical accuracy within this film, I am not an expert on it. I'm not a Elvis historian, so I am not going to be the best person to ask when it comes to how accurate it is, because other than the few bits of information here and there that I think is probably well known to most people or to the majority of everyone, I I'm gonna say I don't know. I know next to nothing about Elvis as far as historical significance is concerned. Now, I will say that I recognize the monumental influence that he's had, not just simply on music, but film, fashion, and just popular culture. And when you really think about it, and after watching this film, I found how there was this some very strong similarities and parallels between him and Michael Jackson. And I've always and I came to the overall conclusion that Elvis was the MJ of his time, and Michael Jackson was the Elvis of our time. And when you and in actuality, no one comes close to either of those two. Both of them are legends in a way that there's not gonna be anything or anyone like them ever again, and that's what makes them so special. That's what makes Elvis special in general. By watching this film, I clearly saw exactly how important he was, not only to the fans but just overall entertainment, and how he is considered the king of rock and roll and a pioneer. So I have to give credit where credit is due, as far as that's concerned. But when I saw the trailer for this film, I must admit that I was not too overly excited about it, because musical biopics generally tend to be hit or miss. I love Ray with Jamie Foxx. I really enjoyed Purple Rain. I don't know if you would consider that a musical. A Star Is Born. I also really loved Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix as Johnny Cash, and I love Bohemian Rhapsody, and I even enjoyed Rocket Man. Uh, Elvis is a film that is obviously telling the tale of how he became to be the king, if you will. Started from his journey as a boy, being exposed to all the different exposed to all the different rhythm and blues and gospel music, and then find a way to intertwine that with the whole country music aspect, while of course causing controversy in the process, because you have to remember when Elvis started to become more known on a nationwide level at the beginning of his career, obviously there was going to be controversy because no women and just overall people never saw anything like him, and he was just obviously a wall of sound, a wall of energy. So when I saw the trailer, I was initially hesitant, because when I saw Austin Butler as Elvis, he didn't really resonate with me, because when I think about Elvis, especially pictures that I've seen of him in footage, he just had this very masculine appeal to him, and I just felt that Austin Butler looked too. I don't want to sound harsh or anything, but he just looked too pretty for Elvis, if that makes any sense. So watching the film, I sat there and I was really just captivated by Austin Butler's performance. He did such an amazing job, and I think what I honestly believe this is the film that Rocket Man should have been. Now, you're probably wondering, what do I mean by that? Well, Rocket Man, as most people are well aware of, is the Elton John musical biopic, and I love the music of Elton John. I love Elton John, and I love Taron Egerton as an actor. But when Taron Egerton started to sing, it really took me out of it, because no one can sing like Elton John. What makes Austin Butler's performance so special is that even though he did sing some of the songs, they blended Elvis's voice and within with his voice, so you really were essentially getting the full Elvis performance. And being as someone who was not particularly a huge fan of his music, I must admit that Elvis had a marvelous voice. I mean, just he had a beautiful singing voice, just a one of a kind. And Austin Butler, man, he did such an amazing job as Elvis. I mean, there were certain moments in the film where he looked like him, moved like him, and even sounded like him when he was speaking the dialogue. And if he's not nominated for the Academy Award for this performance, then there's obviously something wrong here. Uh, Him and Ethan Hawke are definitely should definitely be contenders for the Academy Award nomination for Best Actor when it comes to their performances this year. Because Austin Butler, seriously, he just did a phenomenal job. It just what I and he put everything he had into the role, especially when he was doing the moves and really giving everything within his soul. And you could tell he worked hard at it because he was just sweating. I mean, literally, when you watch Elvis perform, especially the bits and pieces of footage I've seen of him performing, he was giving his all. Same with Austin Butler did. He channeled Elvis, and I think what makes it even more special, and I've said this before in previous reviews, when it comes to certain actors who disappear into their roles, Austin Butler disappeared completely into the role of Elvis, where I truly believed that I was watching Elvis. The same way that when I watched Bohemian Rhapsody and I was watching Rami Malek perform as as Freddie Mercury during a Live Aid sequence, he looked and moved like Freddie Mercury. It's almost as if Elvis Presley himself was using Austin Butler as a vessel to really channel his energy to the audience, to the viewing audience in the theater, and I just loved every single second of it. As I mentioned, it's also telling the story about the relationship between him and Colonel Parker. Again, I'm not a I'm not an expert on their relationship, so I don't know how accurate it is. Tom Hanks is playing the character of Colonel Tom Parker, who becomes the manager of Elvis Presley, and he does everything he can to make Elvis basically the greatest show on earth, the spectacle. And of course, obviously, there's going to be some major dramatization when it comes to the information as far as whether or not he was for Elvis or against him, and whether or not he abused him financially. I have no idea. Again, it's not something that I've really looked into, and maybe it's something that I will actually read so I can become more well versed within the storyline when it comes to the relationship rather. But I thought that Tom Hanks did a really good job. When it comes to Tom Hanks as an actor, I don't think I've ever seen a film with him that I didn't enjoy. So I thought he did a really great job playing this uh, somewhat well-meaning and yet slithery, sneaky, manipulative manager who's only interested in his own financial gain. But I really enjoy what Baz Luhrmann, the director, and anyone who's not familiar with his work knows that he did the 1996 modernization of Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes, and he also did Moulin Rouge and The Great Gatsby. So he has a very unique style when it comes to filming, and I thought he did a brilliant job bringing Elvis to life. Now, I remember when I walked in briefly on a scene, and there was a scene where you heard some rap music that was being associated with this specific scene. And at first it was really jarring because I was thinking, why are they playing rap music with Elvis? That just makes no sense as far as the time period is concerned. But it wasn't that long of a scene, so it didn't detract. It didn't really detract from the overall content that I was watching. But I have to say, I watching this film made me become more interested in learning about the music of Elvis Presley. And the great thing about these type of musical biopics is that it does typically generate a new audience who may have not been familiar with Elvis. So they're hearing his music and seeing the impact that he had upon just entertainment in general. You're thinking, okay, you know what? That doesn't sound bad. Let me go see what I can learn about Elvis and maybe pick up a few CDs and introduce him to a few friends of mine. And before you know it, Elvis is popular again. The same thing happened with Queen with the Bohemian Rhapsody film. Same thing happened with Ray Charles when it came to Jimmy Foxx performances in that film. And it's a great thing to see actual music from real artists who created this music and made such a significant impact become noticed again. And I think that's wonderful. And I do believe that Baz Luhrmann did a beautiful job with this film. I highly recommend it. It did everything it was supposed to do. It hit all the right notes as far as the dramatization, the acting, the writing, and the music, and the time periods. And I thought it was brilliant how he managed to create an overall atmosphere of fitting it within that time. So it look when you're watching Elvis perform in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, it looks exactly how you would envision it from that specific period, and also how a lot of Elvis's transitions as far as him evolving as an artist and also tackling and being aware, more socially conscious of aware of events that were taking place with this the Martin Luther King assassination, Robert F. Kennedy being assassinated, and I really enjoyed how those historical tragedies took tied in to how he viewed the world and how it impacted him. I thought that was a really great inclusion when it came to the personality of Elvis. But overall, I really enjoyed this film. I highly recommend it, and anyone who hasn't got around to watching this film, please do. Great music, great acting, great atmosphere, just an overall wonderful performance from Austin Butler. I can't say enough about this film that hasn't been, most likely hasn't been said already, but I do recommend it. A 2 thumbs up, a 5 out of 5 for me. Highly recommend it. Please let me know in the comment section what you thought about it. Let me know on my Facebook as well. I also recently became a freelance writer for the Sumter Item newspaper here in Sumter, South Carolina. So anyone who's interested in subscribing to that newspaper, please feel free to do so. And I also have a Discord as well. The Discord link is in my Facebook and on my YouTube. Once again, thank you guys for listening to this review, and you'll be hearing from me again, my friends. And be on the lookout for the Thor: Love and Thunder review after most likely that Thursday night or Friday at morning. But hope you guys remain well and safe, and take care. Peace out.